Hello, my name is Bertrand Dugas, and I've done this interview with Robert Godin, who was the current CEO, the ex-CEO and current and founder of Godin Guitars. The current CEO is his son, Simon Godin. So I hope I will interview him one day. Also, I've done this interview that's more like a conversation. That's why I called it a conversation with Mr. Godin, and I've covered many subjects I haven't heard in more professional quality videos, and I'm just an ordinary guitar player and an illustrator as well. And he was nice enough to, on a Saturday, to give me some of his personal time for this, and I've covered many subjects about his personal life based on his book that he wrote. That will be available in English. I've talked about business issues of the guitar market, the guitar world. I've talked about lutherie. I've talked about wood. I've talked about pickups. I talked about manufacturing process. I've talked about marketing. I talked about many subjects that are related to the guitar world that I haven't seen asked by professional interviews. And I apologize for the quality of the sound. There are some occasional glitches. The setup wasn't done really in an optimal way because of lack of experience, and also my batteries ran out. So luckily, at the end of the interview, a lady just stepped in the office and she lent us her iPhone, so I was able to patch the last section of the interview when we were talking about bass guitars, and so I was saved by the clock, if you want. And I apologize for the framing that isn't optimal as well. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope you will enjoy and appreciate those amazing guitar even more, like I do. Have a good day. Okay, hello to everybody. My name is Bertrand Dugas, and I'm actually a graphic artist, illustrator, and I currently work as an industrial designer, and I've been involved in art, and I'm a passionate guitar player. I'm not a professional, I have the honor of meeting Mr. Godin. Was kind enough to accept this interview. I'm really honored, and because for me, Mr. Godin is to a certain point has contributed as much as people like Leo Fender to the guitar the guitar industry and the guitar world because of his innovations. And there's many areas I would like to cover, and both of us are actually French Canadians, and we have the similar culture, and we're doing this interview in English, and because as Mr. Godin was pointing to me, 92% of his market is actually outside of Canada, and it's there's no red carpet unfolding itself for Mr. Godin when he sells in Canada. It's all the brands are there, and it's a fierce competition. Nobody gives him a break, a special break, because he's a Canadian manufacturer, actually, and it's as tough for him to make his place here as anywhere else. All the brands are there, and I was not born a Godin guitar fan. I went through a journey myself before I bought many, and that journey was what convinced me to become such a fan was that I realized how much guitar I was getting for the money, and it's been a constant point. Many players have brought up to me is how much guitar they get for the money, and you've received actually, Mr. Godin, a lot of praise from American players I've talked to, saying that they do respect the fact that you haven't moved your facilities abroad, like in the Far East countries, to save costs, and many have done that, as you know.
Oh yeah.
And how challenging is this for you?
Well, the thing, it looked always easy. You see, all my competitors are controlled by multinational banks, something like that. And that's their way to do. They don't like to manufacture anything. They like to get it subcontract and resell at large profit. Our idea is Canada is known for its wood.
That's it.
You know, and we did a survey a few years ago to see what the Americans think about Canadian manufacture. And really, they have the highest prestige. You know, they say, well, you have the best wood, and we're known for a high-tech product too. Canada is known to manufacture aviation and very high-tech field.
Software, etc.
Software. And it's good. And because of Nord 2, we're more productive. You see, the window it's a tough thing, but we like to design, work inside. It gave us some energy, extra energy to go on.
But speaking about wood, and this was one of my many points I wanted to bring. I've heard you said in an interview in Radio-Canada, French interview in Radio-Canada, that it takes about 2 years for a guitar, for a plank of wood to become a guitar until it dries up and it's ready.
It's more 3, but 2 is a minimum. You see, there's scientific way to dry wood by, using some oven and.
I've seen that with the PRS factory, like for their Indonesian-made guitars. I've seen a video, and that is what they're doing. They're drying it up with some kind of a vacuum system.
Yeah, we don't do those things. We let the wood do. We heat the wood at about 120 degrees, which is not too high, very slow with big fan to let the air circulate. And it's the best way. It takes more time, but when it's dry, it's dry.
Okay, so all this wood is basically. This applies to the solid body guitar, because I would expect like a serious manufacturer like you to go to that organic way of producing guitar, like letting nature basically
do its own work.
Do its own work. But is it true also for your solid bodies as well?
Oh yeah. I mean, okay, I'm talking in general. Like the spruce, the spruce top on an acoustic guitar. It's a minimum of 2 years before we touch it.
Before it's ready, the moisture content is.
Yeah, you need 6.5% of moisture content. You need some, but the average people dry wood up to 10. Below 10, that's where it takes time.
Because I see a lot of Far East Asian guitar being dumped on the market.
Yeah.
And they go at crazy low prices, and I have nothing against this if you don't have the money and it's your first guitar, but I don't think these guitars will age well because of that reason.
No, and they cover the wood with a thick plastic finish.
That's it.
And then they remove. I mean, the finish takes 30% of the thickness. It's just amazing. Then they don't need a perfect dry wood.
Yeah.
and a cut vibration.
Yeah, so
But it goes fast. You see, it takes, when we put a guitar in production, it takes 6 weeks before it arrives in the box.
yeah, and speaking of wood, still speaking of wood, we were saying that many people like the Canadian wood, and it's not a chauvinistic thing. It's because I think it's because the winters here are long and cold,
Yeah.
and we have the 4 seasons, and so therefore to go through all those long winters, the tree fiber has to be especially resilient, right?
For sure. But the main thing is, you know, where else are you going to find good maple? Where else are you going to find good poplar? It's like now here in the northeast we call Nordic Poplar. Nordic Poplar, it's not as hard as silverleaf maple, but almost. But
Yeah.
it's light.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful for electric guitars, you know, to have a light.
Yeah, I've seen some companies doing really artistic tops, really cool artistic tops with poplar. It's a recent trend. You would see it, as you know, we've seen it a lot with flame maple.
Yeah.
But now it's getting better, so maybe it's an avenue you're going to take.
Wow.
I've seen some really artistic looking tops with the poplar.
It's not supposed.
No.
They use something else.
Yeah, okay.
I don't
Because it's too soft. Huh? It's too soft.
It's too soft, and you don't find this figure.
Okay.
You know, as maple's got.
Okay.
Silverleaf maple is the most figured wood you could find. Hard rock maple is what we use for neck.
Okay.
What we don't use for body. For body, we use silverleaf maple.
Okay. Okay, it makes sense. It's like it's a harder breed of poplar, but still solid enough. It's got the best of both worlds. Solid enough to.
Well, big silverleaf maple is good for acoustic neck, not hard maple. Hard maple is good for electric, but not for acoustic.
Okay.
It's too hard. Then you won't have enough bottom on the instrument.
Okay.
The bass comes from a big movement of the neck.
Yeah. Okay, because I was watching one of your video of recent on the recent NAM interview with one of your responsible there, and he was asked what's the difference between Canadian basswood and Asian basswood, and
there's no Asian basswood. It doesn't exist.
Are you serious?
The guitar is made in Asia, but
so there's no.
Yeah, but the bass from Asia is too soft.
Okay.
It's, you know, it's got too much moisture. It's too light. It's got no sound at all.
Okay, it doesn't resonate well.
No, not at all.
So basically what you're saying is when you see basswood, even in a guitar made in China, for example, or Indonesia, it's because they bought the wood from a North American or European or it's not. It's a tree that will work if it's in a colder temperature, I guess.
Yeah, not from warm temperature because it's gonna be too soft. Won't resist. Won't resonate.
Yeah, because you see mahogany everywhere. I mean, on furniture, it's like everywhere on guitars, and each time I saw a Godin guitar with mahogany, it was always stunning. Like my concert, La Patrie, that's one thing that struck me is like, wow, it's almost as good as flame. It's like very, very good mahogany.
I'll tell you why, because the mahogany we use come from Honduras and Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody uses African mahogany.
Okay.
It's heavy. The resonance is so thin, and but it looks good. But if you use Honduras mahogany, And Brazilian, the resonance is there, and it's light.
It's lighter.
So yeah, much lighter.
Yeah, because I have my Summit. I have a Les Paul, and I was able to compare my Les Paul with the Summit, and I can tell you that the Summit is more resonant, lighter weight.
Yeah.
Has a better definition. It's got to do also with the pickups, like excellent pickups, the Seymour Duncan.
Yeah.
And then the Les Paul, and if I was a Les Paul hater, I would not have bought a Les Paul. You know, I'm not into Gibson bashing. They've done incredible legacy for the guitar world, but I mean, for $1,000 less with a Summit, or 900, 1,000 less, you have definitely the equivalent of a standard and more with I find with the Summit. And I can tell I've compared in terms of sustain, in terms of comfort, in terms of resonance. I've done all the tests possible, clean with gain,
distortion, everything.
It's just an incredible guitar, and there's this one of your that's probably the, if I would say that there's I would say there's a quote unquote weakness about Godin is that you haven't been that much endorsed by rockers. No, but there's some really, really good rockers like Steve Pfister and Steve Stevens, and who've played your instruments. But you know, you have the poster boy Slash, who plays Les Paul, and Jimmy Page, and so on. And
we don't pay anyone to play our guitar.
So that's
the basic, and all the guitars were made or sold.
Yeah.
Then we don't need to do that. And then the people who play our guitar, they play because they like it.
Yeah, because there's no shortage of celebrity players also. No. With your instruments.
No.
And I was and previously to the interview, I was mentioning that, you know, like to him in an informal conversation, that most artists in the music business get their exposure with a hit. They write a hit song, and it enables them to, after that, step in and make the other material known. And for you, your hit was the Multiac.
Yeah.
And his grandfather, previously the Acoustic-Caster, was endorsed by the boss himself, Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
And the Multiac, I think, is played by just about everybody. Yeah. From heavy metal player to Leonard Cohen to you name it.
Yeah.
Almost McCartney, Waters, you name it, they have a Multiac.
That's it. You know, it's the first nylon string guitar that a steel string player could play. You know, the classical guitar, for instance, they have a flat fingerboard. It's a torture instrument, because if I say put your fingers straight with no effort, you're going to have a slight arch. Mm-hmm. If I say now put it straight, you have to force just to put it straight. Then I did this little
can you bring it?
Nice. Here I did a little arch.
Okay.
You know,
all those details.
It's exactly like my normal pose. Arch. I go there. Then you put, I think, 40% less effort. Bar, and it gives you more power. It's not so.
Right, it's just smooth.
Yeah. So smooth to play.
It's effortless.
Yeah. Sorry. It's the comfort, you know.
Yeah. effortless playing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it has enough resonance to, you can play it. I have an anecdote to tell you.
Okay.
I was at one of your dealer in Quebec City.
Yeah.
I don't need to advertise. You know him.
Yeah.
And there was a man who was looking for a solid body nylon string, and he was torn between the Yamaha and yours.
Yeah.
And or with a plain acoustic, whatever the brand. And I was telling him, if you buy a multi-ack, it won't be louder than your usual TV. So in your hotel room, you won't bother anybody.
No.
And you'll still have enough sound to hear yourself well.
This one's got a lot of sound.
Yeah, it resonates well. Yeah, it resonates well. It's not so it's a perfect companion for a traveling musician who doesn't want to make too much noise, bother the neighbor, and have problems like I did with my neighbors. And you can plug it, and we were talking about technology and the fact that Mr. Godin broke new ground with the guitar world. And as I was mentioning, and it's not an exaggerated statement to say that Mr. Godin and his team changed the guitar world, because they innovated with many things, not only the acoustic, the craftsmanship or the luthery part, but with things like a MIDI output that enables synth access and so many sounds. Like I've seen, you can all see it on YouTube. Steve Stevens playing with Billy Idol, some hit and he's able to have padding sounds and synth and strings while playing, and cover a lot of space with just one guitar.
Yeah.
How did this idea? Is it part of your if there was something about your culture, the culture of your company, like let's say if a philosophy, a global philosophy, right? Would it be to always innovate, break new grounds, or
For sure. You know, it's always to bring the instrument for the music of today.
Mm-hmm.
See, today, wow, everything, you can get so many nice things with computer. You can home recording. You can do all these things, and you don't need a lot of equipment. And what we try to do is bring instrument ready for all this, and it really makes the difference. Like the electronic on that, we just completely, the guitar you hold in your hand now is the new generation of multi-act.
It's got the MIDI output.
Yeah, but
MIDI goes out of fashion, maybe, huh?
No,
not necessarily. Still strong.
No, not strong.
No,
it's not strong. It's just that
it's a niche market.
It's a niche market, but the one who really wants it, they're gonna find on that.
Because I've seen a British music composer for movie stuff.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And I've seen him demoing the multi-act, and he was playing with what's called patches of sound, which are samples played by philharmonic orchestras, and he was playing with his multi-act, and it was amazing. It was a one-man show playing a philharmonic orchestra.
Yeah.
And the sampling was a very, very good quality, and enough for movie production. So I guess so innovation would be and one thing that also, as I mentioned, is I saw you in a French interview saying jazz guitar is many times for many players it's just not affordable, And you had a point, because when I see an ES 175 or 335, just to name those, I'm not into Gibson bashing. As I say, I own one, and they've done incredible. You have an incredible legacy. Just the question is not why do these your guitars are not that affordable. The question is, why are they so expensive? More, I would say, because as you were saying, a lot of those jazz guitars are just like the price of a Toyota or something. It's just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, you know. And if you're well equipped and everything, it doesn't cost that much more, you know. Then I made affordable jazz guitar who sounds amazing, adapt for the music of today, and just the right size and you know.
Because I've seen on a YouTube video, you were listed about the five best guitar under, like the Fifth Avenue was listed among the 5 best guitar under 1,000. But what was not mentioned is that it's not made in Asia.
It's made here with the real wood,
with top wood and really good varnish that doesn't muffle the sound, that doesn't.
That's it. It's lacquer. You see, this is the way. This is our passion, you know. And we have a factory specialized on those guitars. It's not mixed with other. That's why we have 6 factories. And each factory is specialized. Let's say the one who make multi-act is a specialty. The one who make Fifth Avenue is another specialty. And we use the highest technology for precision.
Yeah, because
consistency.
That's one thing is that your guitars are not made for the lawyers, the dentists, I mean, I'm just saying, I have nothing against lawyers and dentists. I have friends that are lawyers, and it's just like, as we all know, for some people, buying a $5,000 guitar or $6,000 guitar is no issue, but for most musicians, it's not the case. Most and you're enabling many people to have access to professional quality at prices where people don't have to diet on instant noodles for years.
No.
Because I've seen a video where a virtual friend, a very charming fellow, a British classic rock, he was talking with another about how he bought his Les Paul with his credit card, and it took him 2 years to pay it. Just for me, doesn't make sense. It's not supposed. You're not supposed to starve yourself to buy a quality instrument, right? You know.
No. But there's a minimum. But everything is affordable. And also, we don't sell to agent and thing. We sell direct to store. And you save a lot of money.
So you try to cut the
middleman.
The middlemen. So you go directly, and that's a problem I see in the industry. I see a lot of complaint about quality of guitars, but I suspect like a lot of the issues about quality with guitars I've seen with Gibson and so on is that they've started selling online a lot and forgot about the dealers. And when you're selling online, the guitar will any guitar will play. I mean, the neck will move and it can arrive out of tuning and so on. And that's the risk, and you're trying to avoid this channel, right?
For sure. Well, but we keep the instrument long enough. The instrument before it's sent to the shop is readjusted 3 times.
3 times. Okay.
Because when you put tension on the neck, it takes about 10 days that your neck is going to do a movement.
Okay.
Because, an average tension is about 200 pounds of tension on the neck. Then, after a few days, you have to readjust the truss rod. If you don't do, your action is going to go higher, and it's not going to be correct. If the action go higher, intonation won't be good too. Everything change. That's why we take the time. It takes a few minutes more, and we readjust.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because this kind of thinking is actually typical of someone who has a luthier background like you,
Yeah.
who became a manufacturer. And what we've seen and we're seeing now, and the Gibson case is notorious, is that
I don't like to mention other brands.
well, no, it's not me.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to say it.
Yeah.
It's free speech. I'm not
Yeah,
into.
yeah.
I'm not into a Gibson bashing. As I say, I have a lot of respect for the legacy. But it's just one example of many. And it's not only them. CBS, you could say, and many companies. What happens is that they lose root with their passion.
Yeah.
They lose the root with the tradition, and it becomes all part of a business scheme to make money, which is normal. And you don't come from that background. You come from a luthier background.
Yeah.
And how do you reconcile the business necessity to sell, make a profit, with keeping excellence and of your product? And it's complicated because, you know, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak is one example. They were really good creator, and they struggled at some point with their company because of that, and it happens to a lot of creators.
Well, you know, you have to set the goal and say, who you make this guitar for? Who's these people? And you have to reach the goal. I mean, you know, to make a very expensive guitar is very easy. You take your time, but to make a guitar at the right price, it's very, very precise. There's no excuse, oh, because it's cheaper, the action is higher. It doesn't have any sense. It has to be at the top level at any price. And that's why we have many factories, and we have different teams.
But do you surround yourself with actually business people and lawyers and so on to make sure that, okay, we've done this project, like let's say for example, there's a guitar that's just amazing, and art and lutherie, 12 string, under $600. It's just incredible. I forgot, it's one of my guitars.
Oh, okay. Yeah, how many you have of my guitar?
About 10, and I'm not rich. So
but you see, we produce 6 brand names. See, Godin, Seagull, Simon and Patrick, which are my 2 sons.
Yeah, I know.
Who owns the company? Art and Lutherie, that's the 12 string.
Yeah, but when you arrive with those just amazing specs, top wood, top lutherie, and so on, and that price, do you have like an accountant who arrives with you and slap you on the finger and say, no, Mr. Godin, you can't do this?
For sure. A lot of them. Everything has to be precise. I mean, your assembly, your cost. You see, we own all the buildings we have. All our factories are not in big town. They're all in the countryside. And
that helps to diminish the cost tremendously.
Tremendously.
Yeah.
Just our head office here.
Yeah, it's almost, it's on the island. It's on the island, but at a place that's almost like country, like it's like a remote place.
Well, it's near the airport for us. It's very good, but you know, all the rest, it's.
So one part of your secret is actually to off-center your production to maintain the cost at reasonable levels.
Yeah, and pay well our employees.
Yeah.
You know, we have people who work for us for 35 years.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I'm kind of superstitious about buying some guitars that are not made with love. And I don't have this worry when I pick up one of your instruments, because I feel that there's been a lot of love given by the factory worker.
It's unbelievable.
And
you know one thing? 80% of our workers are women.
oh yeah?
Yeah, they like make guitars.
Yeah.
They're there in details.
Yeah.
Guy, they like the big machine and, you know, but when it comes to put together a guitar, it's all woman.
Yeah, well, it makes sense, but some people with the politically correct culture we have would say that it's stereotype. But I would agree with you. Most women I've met are very meticulous. So
For sure.
doesn't mean guys are not meticulous.
No,
So,
but
as you say, they have this.
and they're the one who stay with us, you know, because they love this work. And the environment, we have this beautiful, all the factory are climate control, air conditioning, dust free.
You take care of your people, because I've seen a video about another company I will not mention, and sometimes it's very they produce very good, very flashy guitars, really cool looking, but the ugly truth behind what's going on in the factory is quite depressing. And for me as a consumer, I try to be ethical, and I'd like to encourage the business who do things in an ethical way also. So I don't have this concern. That's one of the many things. It's because it's not I am Canadian, I'm from Canada and Quebec, and Mr. Godin's from. It's just a hazard that made it my journey. Because I say I was not born a Godin guitar fan. I became one because I analyzed the market. I love the Fenders, the Gibsons, the Gretsch, the PRS as much as anyone else. I actually have a Gibson, a Fender, and an Ibanez, and a Yamaha, and maybe I'll get a Gretsch one day. Just saying, I became a Godin guitar fan because I went through a journey, and I compare how much plus I was given for what I was about to pay for a guitar, and it always made more sense. That's been my experience, and it's been experience of many players I chatted with also everywhere in the world, and I think it's quite nice to see also that your son seems to be at the same philosophy.
They love the instrument. Like my oldest son, Patrick.
Yeah.
Yesterday was in Peru.
In Peru.
Yeah. And
South America.
South America. We do a lot of business there.
You know? Yeah. The Multiac, I guess, sell a lot.
Multiac sell a lot, for sure.
Yeah.
Because the Latin music. I designed this guitar for them because they were playing a terrible instrument.
Yeah, but that's the advantage. I guess that's why it became so popular with rock artists as well, is because they like to move on stage and nobody likes feedback. So it would solve two problems, right?
Yeah.
You would avoid the feedback problem, and you would also give a decent amplification with nylon strings, which is very difficult.
Very difficult. Not for us. For us, it's zero problem to amplify.
Yeah.
We just developed a new microphone.
Okay.
With a company in California, LR Bag.
LR Bags, they're not quite well known. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good friend of mine, and this is the new version. It looks like the old one.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds amazing, and also you can tap on the instrument because we have the sensors under the string, but also we have here.
Yeah, so you can do a little bit of rhythm.
Oh, a lot of rhythm, but it sounds amazing. Mm-hmm. And this took us a long time to reach them. Mm-hmm. And now all these guys, we just showed that one at the NAMM show. People were crying. It's like, wow, this is what it was missing.
Yeah, but okay. I think that's my opinion. Okay, Mr. Godin.
Okay.
My opinion is that the multi-act became to the guitar industry what the Strat and the Les Paul became.
Yeah.
It became a standard. I mean,
That's it.
you name it, professional musician has one. So, but what I find almost shocking is how underrated your solid bodies are. And I have a lot of solid body. Like I have a guitar, just like as I was mentioning to you, was like the Telecaster of my dream. I would have wanted a luthier to design me a Telecaster. He would have done this. The Session Custom Limited. I got one with the convertible pickup.
Yeah. Oh,
and it has what Telecasters don't have: a trem system, a decent trem system, a preamp. I mean, Andy Summers from the Police customized his own with a humbucker, and it's no better than what I have. And it was sold. A replica of his guitar was sold $12,000 by. I've seen some by Fender, and this custom session was under roughly $1,200, which is quite amazing given all the features it has. Preamp, top wood, top maple, top mahogany, and it's not in business anymore. It's not available anymore.
Well, our company's totally sold out.
Okay.
On everything we make this year.
Okay.
Everything is sold, pre-sold.
Yeah.
Then we're happy. You know.
Do you have go ahead.
Oh, that's my son. Hello? Oui, monsieur. Ça va très bien. Écoute, je suis au bureau. Je vais faire une entrevue avec
Bertrand, je pense qu'il me connaît.
Du gars. Tu l'as déjà rencontré chez Gagné, frère. Ouais. D'accord. Oui. Avec les guitares et tout ça. OK, ça doit être mieux, ça doit être bien. Bon, parfait. C'est ça, mon ami. Fait qu'on se voit lundi. OK. On se voit lundi. OK. Bye. Salut. Ciao. C'est ça.
C'est bon, ça. Je sais pas. I think I'll keep this. Because it's fun.
He's always checking, and we work together on a lot of designs. Simon is a good
Simon, yeah. I met Simon in Quebec City when I bought my Montreal Premiere. He was there with one of his rep, and I was really reassured by the way that the legacy. He's going to keep up with the legacy, the philosophy.
Oh, yeah.
He's a very mature, down-to-earth, humble guy. Yeah. Worked his way up. He worked in the factory.
Oh, yeah.
He did everything.
Everything. He worked at the Principal factory for a year. Just learning what is to be a worker.
Yeah, that's it.
In a factory.
He wasn't born with a silver spoon, right?
No.
Like you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I read your book. I read your... I forgot it because I had to. Anyway, I'm a distracted person sometimes, but in your book you bought your first guitar with your own paper boy money.
Yeah.
It was an Harmony.
An Harmony. Yeah.
And
big Harmony. I paid $100.
Yeah, and it was a ton of money back then.
Oh yeah, and I was passing a summer 300 newspaper a day.
Yeah.
And I bought my own guitar with my own money.
Yeah, you always worked very hard, and because there's one thing, my interview has no rigid structure. As long as I cover the main points, so we can go now with more of his personal journey and history. Because I read his book, and his book is available in French. Probably an English edition coming.
We work on it.
Yeah.
But we realize that the English one, we have to change a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of, address in Montreal that people from New York won't know. We're going to make it more international, the English. It's going to be the same idea.
Yeah.
But it's the the book sold very well.
It was easy to read. Also, it's not.
No,
It goes well. I liked it.
the writer is, that's a lady called Joanne Mercier. She's amazing, and
She did
I have a good thing.
she did a good resume, and
Oh, yeah.
and there's because what has to be known is that you were operating and teaching guitar in a music store in one of what used to be a prosperous. It's not anymore. Saint-Hubert Street in Montreal. It used to be you were like at a very young age. You were very you had a lot of responsibility running a business, and so you got to know every possible detail of the instrument, how to sell it, how to tune it, and one of your first innovation was to find strings that would enable solid body player to bend their notes, right?
That's it. You know, I was influenced by this group, the Venture. Venture.
Yeah.
And the Venture were bending string, and at that time, electric string, the gauge was 13.
Yeah,
it was impossible.
More for jazz players and people who have like huge hands, like Stevie Ray Vaughan and so on.
Yeah.
Like, they can play with this, but most people.
Yeah. Then I made a set of string with banjo string.
Yeah, that's it.
And people were coming to see me to fix their guitar, organize everything.
Because what I found with your history is that it's more like, which is a testimony of the quality of what you were doing. It's like you didn't have to invest that much in marketing. It's more like people came to you more than the opposite, because John McLaughlin actually bought the guitar. You never needed, like you say, to pay him or to solicit sponsors like poster boys, like for your instruments, right?
Yeah, it's a good friend of mine.
And when you were, because you had like George Benson that came to your store also, like, right?
It's in the book.
Yeah,
it's all this, you know.
Many prestigious players came, and so therefore, when you started your business, you started acoustic, right?
Acoustic, yeah. The name of the guitar was Norman.
Yeah, it's very well known.
Oh yeah, well known here in the United States. It was no, the name was not good because they were a TV program at that time where Norman was a kind of idiot guy. I didn't know that, and they said Norman. In Canada, we had no problem with that.
Okay.
Then, but now Normans start to sell well in the States also.
Yeah, well, I saw like about at least 10 years ago, I saw an encyclopedia of acoustic guitar, and the Norman was listed among with the Martins and so on.
Oh yeah.
It's a guitar that has actually notoriety.
Next year is going to be 50 years that I start my first factory.
Yeah, the Norman one.
Yeah, 50 years.
Because we were talking about wood and cost and so on, but what helps you also to sell, professional quality level guitar at prices most people can afford, and is that you had with this Norman factory access to a ton of wood.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because it was like a window manufacturing.
Yeah, no, it was a window factory, but wood window factory.
That's it.
And in the 70s, people were changing their window, their wood window for aluminum.
So he was kind of.
Then
he had to reinvent himself.
Yeah.
To follow the needs.
Then we changed all of this.
Yeah.
It's like now I have a very thing that I'm very proud is the intonation. Like this new neck. I can show you something that
plays like butter.
Yeah, but the intonation, you can play open string and closed string. Anywhere in the neck.
Yes, it just looks very easy to play.
Yeah. Oh, plays like butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very easy.
Yeah, because the wood that you use a lot, and there's in this day and age where we talk about the environment and do you use a lot of local woods that are abundant and have those tonal qualities.
Yeah.
One of the wood you use a lot, and that just sounds as good as maple in my book, is what's called wild cherry or yellow
wild cherry
or yellow birch, right? It's like a hardwood.
Yeah, yeah. And this is local. It's amazing wood. Because of the cold weather, we can use this wood.
Because I've seen it on the. I use it on. I have it on my Montreal Premier. The sides, it's used a lot for the sides because it's very resonant, very bright sounding, and it's very solid. I mean, it's solid as it gets.
Yeah.
One question I always ask myself about this wood is how come it's not that used on necks?
No, for neck will be a little bit too heavy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's no good.
Okay.
It's like hard rock maple for neck. You don't touch that. It's too heavy.
It's too heavy. Okay.
And it will vibrate, very short movement and no bass. We'll cut all the bass.
Okay, it will, because of its solidity, you will lose some bass frequencies.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why, but for a solid body guitar, where pickups play a big role, do you think it's a possibility you might come up with? No. You have enough. You have access to a lot of maple anyway.
Well, for a solid body, I like better Nordic Poplar.
Nordic Poplar, yeah.
Oh, it's the perfect weight, perfect resonance.
Yeah, because on the progression, you use basswood, right?
Yeah. Well, it's Nordic Poplar.
It's Nordic Poplar. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's as solid as anything as I've tried, and it's not heavy. It's very lightweight.
And it resonates very well.
Of course, that's one thing. I compared this guitar with. This is my own. By the way, I'm not. You can criticize as much my opinions. I'm not a god. I'm just trying to be as objective as I can. And I've compared it with a Fender American professional player, and that was double the price, and I did not got double the guitar.
Oh, no.
The sustain on this progression was good, and what convinced me was a video made by a British virtuoso player.
Okay.
Name is Michael Caswell.
Okay.
And did a very, very good review of the progression a couple of years ago. And he's gone now. He had an accident. But I had the chance to communicate with him, and he was very, very true gentleman and very talented. As I was mentioning, he has a lot of tutorials that are available, and he would play Jeff Beck better than Jeff Beck himself.
Wow.
So.
Do you think your gear is okay?
Battery. Is, it's like okay. So second part of the interview, we were talking about wood, right? We were talking about the usage of wood, that you use a lot of local woods that have luthery quality, tonal quality.
Tonal quality.
Right now I'm in his showroom, and I'll make eventually I'll move the camera.
C'est dans la boîte qu'il y a là. Yeah. Ah oui. Ça, c'est des planches, vois-tu? Ici, on a travaillé, on a des nouveaux manches faites en... On va essayer de voir si on peut voir ici. On voit il y a 3 pièces.
Okay, okay. This is what you use for.
Mahogany.
This is
Mahogany.
Okay, okay. This is typical mahogany.
Honduras mahogany.
Honduras. Yeah, that's as I mentioned. You probably can't see it really well with the camera, but you can see how lots of definition in the motifs.
Yeah.
And once the lacquer is on, I mean, it's just striking. I have this on my concert, La Patrie concert.
Yeah.
It's not cheap mahogany. It's just
No.
it looks like it's very very high end.
Very high.
Yeah, and this wood is reputed to have like more will give more bass presence, right?
Total resonance. The range is very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these woods are fairly abundant, I guess, or
No, it's just people. Furniture is made for looking,
okay.
not for functionality.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
see, they just care about the look. Us, we care about the resonance.
Yeah.
Then we have machine who tests the tension of the wood.
Okay.
We're the only one who do that.
Okay. So let's say when you have a top for a guitar, let's say let's take any one of them. Many of your guitars, I noticed, have like solid wood, more solid wood on the sides. Like I was saying, many times it's a local Canadian wood, like the wild cherry.
Yeah.
And most of the time it has a cedar to give the bass, right?
Yeah, it gives a nice warm sound.
Yeah, to have the complete spectrum of tones.
Yeah.
And this is a Simon Patrick, but the Godin umbrella has a lot of brands, and there's for one I've known, you will correct me. There's of course the Godin umbrella that has the acoustics and the solid body and the jazz guitars, the hollow and semi-hollow.
Yeah.
On the acoustic parts, you have the La Patrie for classical. You have the Seagull, the Simon Patrick, and the Art and Lutherie,
and the Norman,
and the Normans, and
the La Patrie,
and on top of it, that have their own personality.
Personality, shape. They say, "Oh no, this is a very old." Oh, it's not tuned at all.
Oh no, it's not tuned. But anyway, I have to take it. It's
No, use this.
Okay, you know it from all those years.
Take another one. Take this one.
Maybe this one is.
I can tune in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I guess. So when you name it in the book, you say that you name it Simon and Patrick in honor of Simon and Garfunkel, right?
That's it. I was looking for a name, you know. Well, we have to retune.
Not so bad. Simon and Garfunkel. So that's the boxer.
Yeah.
Well, no, so it's got this is one example of a very decent acoustic in terms of sound and quality and attention to amazing attention to detail, and it's not that pricey, right?
This is around $300.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
It's just, that's why that's why I became such a fan, because I'm not rich. I have limited resources, just like most players.
Yeah, that's it.
And
but we make good instrument for a good price.
Yeah, for
and
some.
that's the reason we're successful.
Yeah.
We don't exaggerate.
Yeah, and you don't spend that much money into expensive marketing strategies.
That's it. That's it.
That I mean, it's more like a pull marketing than a push marketing, right?
Yeah.
The quality of the product attracts.
Quality brings the customer.
Yeah, and as I was mentioning previously in the interview, you're able to reach that balance of bringing quality craftsmanship, and along with the business reality.
Yeah.
You are present. You do some marketing. You're present at the NAM, right?
For sure, always.
Yeah.
Always.
Which is quite expensive, I've heard.
Oh my gosh, it's a fortune.
Yeah.
It's a fortune.
Is it bringing something?
For sure, because it's the biggest trade show in the world.
Yeah.
Then people from all over the world come.
Yeah.
There's 1,500 exhibitors.
Yeah.
Can you believe?
Yeah.
Then you see everything.
Yeah, and the thing about the NAM is that people are constantly looking for new stuff.
Well,
and the thing is, I find that you've done so many models in the past.
yeah,
I don't think you need to bring something new. Actually, you need to resuscitate certain models.
well,
I find.
what some like this multi-act,
Yeah.
it looks the same, but we restructured the instrument. It's a new bracing, new microphone,
Yeah.
but it's still a multi-act,
Yeah.
but completely new.
Yeah. Because I made a list of great guitars you made that are not there anymore.
No. Well, we're gonna reissue, sometime.
Like you've reissued, for example, for this year the Radiator.
Yeah.
Right. And I've tried the Radiator and with what at your.
I have one there, though. You see the white one, the third one from the wall?
Okay, I'll go and pick it up.
Yeah, the third one.
Has as much resonance as an acoustic. It really vibrates in your hand, and it's just maybe that's still in tune.
You can practice with it. It's got great humbuckers.
It just when you play it, it just vibrates, and you can tell it's gonna have a lot of sustain.
Oh yeah.
And what I was told is that don't be fooled by the pickguard.
Well,
it's just a pickguard. It's a wood guitar.
Yes, and it's a trend. It's a look. It's a nice look for the young guys, and they love this look.
But my own subjective marketing analysis of the market, and it's just an opinion, it could be wrong, is that it seems like the young folks want to play fast and shred.
For sure.
And you have companies that like Ibanez, who are very strong in that field, and you had some models that could definitely be as good as those guitars, like the Freeway, there are other models like the Artisan, the Velocity, and they're not there anymore.
But you see, we stopped. We can't make that many guitars.
That's it.
And it's good. Then we stop them for 5 years. In 5 years, we're gonna do a reissue.
That's it. So,
like this is a reissue.
But
the old Radiator had single coil.
Yeah, but I've seen some very good,
For sure.
some very good reviews of it.
Oh yeah, but this one's got incredible humbucker and resonate more. It's amazing guitar. Fun, eh?
It's
And
just
you just play
acoustic.
unplugged,
Yeah, that's my test for a guitar.
For
If
sure.
if it sounds nice without the amp, it's promising.
Oh yeah.
It's a promising.
If the guitar's got no sound acoustically, don't even change the pickup. It won't give that.
Yeah, and that's another question. I have a million questions for you.
Good.
And another question I have is, I find your match with Seymour Duncan just like the perfect match.
Yeah.
I find that your alliance with them, because I think they render justice to the quality of the lutherie.
Yeah.
Because
We have our own pickup too.
another question,
Yeah.
are those pickups made in association with major pickup manufacturer, or
Yeah.
you have it's all made in-house?
No.
Okay.
We do because we go to these companies. I don't want to. All the other brand, they use those winding. It's a coil,
Mhm.
and they have $1 million machines so precise
Yeah.
that
You
it's
can be
better to go and say I want this wire, this wrap, and they make it perfect.
so you understood that you cannot be a jack of all trade, right?
That's it.
Yeah. So you're dealing with those because like you work with bare knuckles also.
Bare knuckles. We work with
Lolar, Jason Lolar.
Lolar, yeah,
with
Jason Lolar.
with some of your jazz guitars, your P90.
Yeah,
I think you had the
Lolar is known for his P90.
yeah.
He's like the guy for
Yeah.
P90.
But you like me, you like P90s, and
Oh, I like P90.
I like them because they like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
They have this issue with the distortion. They tend to That's some
Well,
like
but
it, some
the
can
new P90s are much quieter.
more quieter. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But me, I just love it, and that's why I went for the convertible. I found
Yeah.
the convertible with
That's a great pickup. 3 pickup in one.
well, yeah, four.
Well,
you can have
You
the
have
P90,
a great
the
humbucker.
3. You're right.
It's 3. The humbucker, the single coil, you know,
Yeah,
I
you're
mean, and the P90.
Yeah, good point. And because I find that it's just like the perfect pickup for me, because it has the advantage of the definition.
Yeah.
Because for me, an electric guitar has to sound good with distortion.
For sure.
And what I find with many pickups is that they sound muddy.
Yeah.
They don't have, when you are strong and you will try to do arpeggios, they will not, they will sound blurry.
Yeah.
And your pickup you choose, I find,
We
have a good
test
day.
them so much.
yeah,
That's why we use many brands.
yeah,
Because, you know, for a certain sound, you need this, you need that.
yeah.
Then we use whatever is the best.
Okay, and as I say again, it's quite amazing that you can have such a quality, solid body. At this guitar is under $700, I believe.
Around that.
And
If I remember, it's about 700, but
Yeah.
it's a professional guitar.
it's professional quality. I think
Yeah.
it can be split.
No,
no,
not these.
No, but
At this price,
no.
they're amazing. You know, it's
I-
a short scale, 24 3/4 scale.
It's just very comfortable, lightweight, and lots of resonance. Very solid also.
Yeah.
It's carved, right, inside.
Yeah, it's all carbon.
It's all carved.
That's why you have the resonance.
Yeah, because that's another question among the millions of questions, is that since you I see a lot of people in the guitar business that are in the solid body guitar, who have no background with acoustics, and it shows when they make solid body guitars because they don't have this resonance, and you, it's the opposite. You started acoustic and you stepped into this solid but hyper competitive solid body guitar market.
Well, yeah.
But you started as a subcontractor actually for
This
for
is
many brands.
something. Yeah, I was a subcontractor.
Yeah.
You know, I made for all the American made.
All of them that you cannot say for legal reasons,
Yeah,
right?
not legal, by respect. You
Okay.
know, they've been nice to me.
Yeah.
They give me at that time.
Yeah.
I didn't have the money, and
They respected you.
yeah, they respected me, and I respect them. You know.
Yeah. As I say, I'm just being critical. I think Gibson has an incredible legacy, and I'm not into.
But you see a guitar like that, it would be $2,000.
In the $2,000 and up for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And now
And,
it's about 700.
Other manufacturer would be in the 2,000-3,000 as you
Oh
say.
yeah, oh yeah.
And it's just that's why I got so many of them. It's because I could afford them for one thing, and it just made perfect sense for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
When I was looking for an instrument, I would look. Okay, is this the keys? Do they hold well? The nut,
sure.
is it like cheap plastic? No, it's graphic.
It's
not
all graphic.
a lot is the wood. The wood, well, it comes from I'm not. The least of my concern is the quality of the wood.
Yeah.
That everything is just top.
Yeah, the
And,
bridge is amazing. It's got a lot of resonance.
Yeah. So the fact that you came from an acoustic background and you stepped later though, right? In the 80s, right? You stepped with the solid bodies.
Yeah. And
You made guitars for Kramer actually, right?
we made all the Kramer.
Yeah.
It was all made by us.
The Eddie Van Halen model and so on.
Yeah.
And you, if I'm not mistaken, and you mentioned it in your book, you.
Okay, we've had some battery problems, so this is another shot, another angle, so I'm gonna conclude the interview pretty soon.
Okay.
We've covered pretty much everything about the guitar. I've read that you've also won a bass player award, best bass of the year, right?
Yeah, we win so many awards, you know.
A multi-act bass, I think.
Yeah, it's the one we did for Metallica.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's in the book. Yeah.
Because I've read the article. It was a bass player magazine or something like that.
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was because people forget that a bass guitar is a guitar.
Exactly.
It's an.
Actually, we look at the red one on the wall. It's a FO. It's like a Fifth Avenue bass.
Oh yeah. Semi-auto.
Yeah,
Okay. Great.
that's.
Yeah.
It's not ready yet, but we have a good.
It stays in tune.
Oh yeah. It's got a great tone, acoustic.
Oh, you can play it.
Yeah.
Acoustic, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got those P90s.
P90s, big magnet.
Okay. Looks as vintage as it gets. Very, very nice. Very, very
Thank
nice.
you.
Very lightweight.
Yeah.
And nothing to envy to a Hofner, I'm sure.
That's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. So because what struck me about your shifter model is the plate that you had in the back.
Yeah.
You put a special attention to make an extra bolting.
Yeah.
And I haven't
It makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Then we have 6 bolts.
Yeah.
I've seen that nowhere.
No, no. But it's the biggest problem of the bass. They, at the end of the neck, they try to lift a little bit.
Okay.
And with this, they stay straight.
Okay. That's part of the lutherie side of that you master so well.
Yeah, yeah.
And that makes the difference because we associate you with guitars, but you excel as well with bass. And are you have also a fretless model?
Yeah, yeah. I don't see it here. It's probably in the warehouse, but
okay, because the multi-act, then again, bass are very
very good fretless.
Yeah.
5-string.
And I've seen I think the bass player from Fleetwood Mac uses.
Yeah, Fleetwood Mac use our
John
bass.
McVie. Use one of your shifter bass.
Absolutely.
Then again, I said to myself, if it's good enough for him,
it's good for you.
it's good for me. So, but
Okay.
that's why. So that will conclude our interview, and
Okay.
thank you for your time, Mr. Godin. And
It's my
sorry
pleasure.
about the technical problem with the montage, but it's
I think you covered quite a bit.
yeah. And the thing is
Next
that,
time you'll come at the factory
of course,
and you'll do
I
live.
can't say no. Can't say no.
Okay.
It's very interesting. I'm a very lucky guy, and I'm honored by the presence of Mr. Godin, my hero. Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay.
Bye bye.